everyone. We're delighted to have you here for American Democracy Project's Times Talk. And before I announce or introduce our speaker today, I do want to give a shout out to our student coordinators who are in the back, Miriam Benavides and Madison Albers, who've done just a fantastic job in coordinating these events and many others across campus. And our speaker today is Dr. Hsin-Yen Yang, who is a professor of communication studies in the Department of Communication Studies, Law, and Political Science. For those of you, sorry I didn't introduce myself, I'm Wendy Roller-Sook. I'm the chair of the Department of Communication Studies, Law, and Political Science. And Dr. Yang is also one of our faculty coordinators for the American Democracy Project. So I'm looking forward to her talk, and I'm sure all of you will be as well. So, welcome.
So welcome everyone. Wow, what a turnout. I think people really know about Kawaii, to my surprise. And also, I think people are also intrigued about how come Kawaii is in politics? How do these two get together? How does that work? And I will start my story back in almost 2000, year 2000. That was a big transition in Taiwan. Again, my name is Hsin-Yen Yang, and I was originally from Taiwan. In year 2000, I came to the United States for my master's degree in Boston. Then later, I went to the University of Iowa for my PhD in communication studies. In my previous life in Taiwan, I was a political campaigner and a researcher, and so I was deeply involved in Taiwan's democratization movement. But later, I became a communication scholar, so I was interested in how culture, especially pop culture, is an integral part of civic engagement in many, many places. So in this case, cute politics. So let's see, let's first of all dive into the history of Kawaii. So what is Kawaii? Kawaii actually came from the Japanese phrase that means lovable or lovability. So when people say, oh, you are kawaii, that means you are very lovable. Okay, so that in Japanese that means cute. Okay. So the Japanese kawaii style became the dominant force in Japanese pop culture beginning in the 1970s and gradually gained global appeal in the 80s and also beyond. Even today, through video games, cute accessories, comics, and animations. Okay. So when we apply so-called Japanese kawaii style to figures, it's usually it's often characterized by a combination of infantile traits such as disproportionately big head, a small round body, big eyes, and an innocent look. So I want to thank our student coordinators again for preparing those cute stickers. If you didn't get those stickers, please make sure you grab one before you leave. Okay, so compared to the concept of cute in English, the kawaii style is somewhat quirky. And also, based on other scholars, Yano, in her 2004 writing, she suggests that kawaii seems to represent an almost dreamlike state involving small leaps of logic, which makes it more childlike, vulnerable, and durable than the notion of cute. Originated from two Chinese characters, which respectively mean able, that means 可爱, and love, 爱, 可爱. So kawaii is originally from Kanchi, Chinese characters, 可爱. But the kawaii culture actually started with girls, okay, school girls. When they were writing the traditional alphabets in their characters, they were supposed to write them, in a very traditional, just a square, good way, so-called good, be good girls. But in the 70s, the girls started to rebel. Okay, long school hours, entrance exam, endless study, no life. So what do? They make their writing cute. So you can see that they intentionally make them rounder. Okay, and also they added a lot of hearts and cherries, love and stars and flowers here and there. Okay, so according to the studies, this is the early age of Kawaii. But the corporate, it's always a corporate, that stepped in. Especially the very famous company, Sanrio. They even have a theme park for Hello Kitties and the cute characters. So how many of you have seen this before? Yeah. Okay. How many of you are big fans of some of those characters? Right. My favorite is I think he's so cool. Okay. So all right. So while Kawaii style can be applied to objects and human behavior in my research, I mainly focus on the former, specifically the ways in which cute objects and images convey political messages and change the public conversation about politics. Okay, so that's based on my 2023 publication, same title. So at the beginning of my presentation, I'll give you a lot of images, so we have this context and background. But later I will dive into my writing a little more, so we will be a little academic at the end. Okay, so what is Kawaii? It can be applied to both objects and the human behavior. So if you see pictures from Asia, you see a lot of Asian, both men and women and all ages. When they take a picture, they usually do this. That's Kawaii. Okay, human behavior, mannerism. Okay, and nowadays, these are Korean stars. They try to do something different, so they have different hand gestures like this instead of this. But did you know that the recent media studies, they said, this can give away your fingerprints, so don't do this. So that's the latest study, don't do this, even though this is also cute. Okay. So there are different mannerisms. But here you can start to see that the style is really just, make you feel so soft, so attractive. I want to own that. Okay. So earlier we talked about Yano's study. She says there are some leaps in logic. Make them so dreamy and just so lovable. Different from like a Disney cute. Okay. So not everything cute is kawaii. So kawaii speaks for a specific kind of aesthetic in terms of cuteness. Now I want to look at I will enter the field of power. Okay. So in Japan, this is the Harajuku police station, and outside of their station, you see the cute mascots. And also, almost every Japanese police station department in Japan has a cute mascot. What are they thinking? It should be law and order, scary, where it's just white, no flower. Okay, just power, right? But they have cute mascot for every department, almost every department. When I went to Tokyo, I took a picture. This is Hello Kitty on the door of the Tokyo metro system, telling that the door is closing, stay away. Okay. This is South Korea. Again, the kawaii in politics or in the power arena, this phenomenon is prevalent in East and Southeast Asia, not just in Taiwan. Okay, so this is the Korean National Police Agency outside of the door. Okay, and police. What are they doing? According to a scholar who studies the kawaii aesthetic in Japan, he says that he coined the term authority cuteness to describe the ways in which the powerful institutions in society try to soften their images and the messages with cute images in order to gain public support. So they are not that scary. Again, this one is Taiwan, so when I went back to Taiwan to visit, I saw this at the airport. So it says, caution, illegally bringing in animals, plants, or other products will be fined up to 200,000 NT dollars or even more. So usually you will imagine a very stern look, like, don't do it. But instead, they put a very cute puppy, big dog, there and holding the sign, okay, to show friendliness. Okay, don't do it, but I'm cute. And also, when I was waiting for my luggage, they sent the canine to sniff for drugs, right? And then we were just, oh, they brought in the German Shepherd, they brought in the Yorkie or something. Just something, oh, was that Gorky? Or Gorky? Corky, yeah. So I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? They were just doing their job, and everybody was trying so hard not to pet them. And they make things cute the moment you enter the country. This is on the metro in Taipei. It says, do not force your way onto metro once the buzzer rings. Don't rush, just wait for another metro. So you can see that they show, again, cute animals and use manga, comic figures to tell people, Also, the kawaii objects often denote a promise of high quality and attention to details. For example, while most airlines appear to be grand and reliable, Taiwan-based EVA Airlines has launched a successful Hello Kitty jet. Okay, Hello Kitty campaign in 2005 that persists today. So my husband and I, one year we went to Japan for a conference and we accidentally got on one of those Hello Kitty jet. Holy moly, I loved it. I grew up more, I would say more Americanized, but when I saw those, I was just, oh, so cute. So the campaign features Hello Kitty and other sanrio motifs on the exterior of EVA Airways aircraft and in their interior amenities, such as Hello Kitty themed boarding pass, menus, food, headrest covers, and flight attendant uniforms. Toiletries, yeah, and even toilet paper rolls. So imagine my surprise. Even the food. Okay, the food was good and they are well designed, and they will even burn the Hello Kitty's face and other cute motifs face on the bread. So you can find the attention to detail on every single thing. And when I went to the restroom, every time I went there, like after I want to wash my hands, every time I noticed that the toilet tissues were folded. What does that mean? That means that every time I went, it was just cleaned. And then they even provide toothbrush and eye masks. Yeah, I try really hard not to take too many. And also everybody, after they finish the meal, they say, can we take the Hello Kitty fork back home? And they say, yes, you can. Oh, again, that's the kind of consumer experience people experience with the Kawaii, in everyday life. Okay, so the next question then becomes, how cuteness enters high politics and why cute political merchandise can create such intense participation in the transitional society. So, and also, wouldn't any symbol that signified accountability, strength, and a good judgment have made more sense than a cute mascot in a political campaign? So my research was based on my almost 10-year-long observation of the turning point in Taiwan's politics. So in 2000, Taiwan finally elected the first president from the opposition party in 54 years. How did they win? Okay, this is one of the major factors. Not that one trump card, but that's a very important factor. Okay, I know. So my intention was that American Western political wisdom will be like, seriously? Seriously. Okay, a question for you. So which political merchandise would you go for? How many of you will go for the one on the right? if you are able to maybe pay a few bucks to get one, which one would you buy? There's no right or wrong, this is just a survey. Okay. So how many of you will go for the left? Let's go to the left. Okay. And how many of you will go for the right? Okay. So that's the difference. So that was from the incumbent and nationalist party, and the one on the right was from DPP, the challenging candidate. They're like, hey, we want to serve. After 54 years later, so here I got the two originals from the campaign. So instead of reading, like, oh my God, okay, please pass it around. Okay. So I will describe why they designed this Kawaii doll to represent the new politician. First of all, I want to explain that my presentation, my research is not celebratory. It's not like, oh, someone is awesome, da da da. No, I'm looking at the cultural and political and theoretical aspect. And I'm also equally critical about politicians.
Okay. So when I grew up, using Chiang Kai-shek, he led the Chinese military and a lot of people, like 2 million people overnight, almost overnight, from China to Taiwan. After they lost the civil war with Mao Zedong in 1949. So after that, Taiwan was under 38-year-long martial law. So when I grew up with all of this. Now they are removed from all the parts and everything, but they created a museum for Chiang Kai-shek's statues. For instance, how many statues we have? Hundreds around the country in Taiwan. So you saw this, so the politicians basically got like it. And now we have this question mark. So a quick history about Taiwan. So Chiang Kai-shek, who was the statue, the leader, I think, he fought Japan during World War II. And but later in 1949, he lost the Civil War to Mao Zedong. Okay, so he moved to, okay, I can't lift the picture. That's okay. Okay, so later he moved to Taiwan. And then martial law and everything. Okay. So in 1987, that was when I was in high school. The martial law was lifted, and then 1996 was the first popular presidential election. In 2000 was the second popular presidential election. So during the first popular presidential election, the opposition party, DPP, Democratic Progressive Party, lost by a landslide. For the second time around in 2000, they want to do something different. So if we put the Kawaii in political and the social context, and I will frame Kawaii as an aesthetic of the powerless. Okay. Because people can relate to Kawaii. And when they see that Kawaii is showing up in political arena, they say, I want that. This is so cute. And that's well designed. And if you look at the doll, okay, the doll is pretty old. So it was created in 2000, I think. And so prior to the lifting of martial law in 1987, Taiwanese had very little experience with democracy, except the local elections, and the harsh police state claims omnipotence, okay, and the individuals must sacrifice their freedom for the greater good. So before the 2000 presidential election, the political socialization of youth was guided by Confucius' teaching, the great philosopher in China, and the tradition and the leaders of the state was considered a symbol of honor and dignity and should be worshipped by their subordinates. Okay, so they usually look like a godlike. For the DPP, the reality of the existing political culture posed a daunting task to convince people to come out to vote for them. Okay. So what are they facing? Mainly the military threat from China. Okay. So the DPP is basically telling people that, hey, Taiwan is Taiwan, China is China, we are not part of them. It's about democracy and about future. But China doesn't like it. Okay. And China never ruled, the People's Republic of China never ruled Taiwan, not for even one day.
But
But people are scared. How do you convince people?
should be good.
So after 1996, the DPP was defeated by a landslide. They decided to look into the situation and strategize. This is why I encourage my students from PR and advertising class to come, because this is about strategic communication and the public relations. So the number of the first-time voters increased by approximately 1.5 million
Wait.
from 1996. The voters between the ages of 20 to 39 constituted over 50% of the total vote, and the majority of them voted for the DPP candidate Chen Shen-bian.
Hit.
And what did they do? They suffered the name from making elections like a monkey business. But they actually worked with a lot of young workers, young volunteers, and they created the campaign dolls. That involves a lot of the local culture, like people love baseball. So you see the baseball cap, and also the outfit and everything, and also the doll eyes and the Kawaii elements. So Chen was even in the Times magazine, and the title says, "No joke." Seriously? No joke. Okay, so the KMT Kuomintang, or the Nationalist Party that ruled Taiwan for many years, they said, this is ridiculous, we shouldn't do that. But what I saw was that thousands of people were lining up to buy those dolls that I was passing around, and they are paying money. So as a scholar, I step back and I look at it, I said, that's a demonstration. That's a demonstration. The action of buying those, that's a donation to sponsor their political party. And they stand in broad daylight to show that we are voting. We are gonna make a change.
Okay.
So the Nationalist Party also created those dolls, but you can see that they use different kind of aesthetics to avoid the Japanese Kawaii elements. So I know that we are entering a more theoretical area. So for my colleagues, you might be interested that, and also my students who are interested in critical writing, you might want to see this. So in our traditional political theory, so we tend to place fans and the citizens on two polarized opposite. Like they don't belong to each other. They don't mingle. The fans are brainless, they are blind followers, passive. Engaged citizens, on the other hand, are wise, smart, well-educated, engaged. It says so. In my research, and also many other scholars' research, no. The fans are equally engaged. They are very active. Okay, they use their consumer rationality to judge the political discourse. So the binary positioning of fans and the citizens is not justifiable because it assumes that culture and the politics are completely separate, and most fans are political morals. That's not true. And recent studies of fandom suggest an entirely different picture. fans in fact use pop culture as a resource or springboard for civic engagement and political actions. So here, I want to encourage you, all of you, to think about America. In 2017, I became a proud American citizen. So now when I talk about civic engagement, mainly I'm looking at our country right here, right now. So I want you to also consider what can we do here to engage people. When I was in Taiwan, if the voting rate is under 80%, the turnout rate was under 80%, it was low. And it was not, it was just a Tuesday when people go on the street to support their cause or candidate. And you see 1 million people came out for the rally. No biggie.
Okay.
So when I became an American citizen and I saw that our turnout rate is how much? 50-some percent. I was dismayed. I thought, we've got to do better.
Okay.
So let's think about what we can do to engage more people. Okay, so the consumption of Kawaii products, I think, lunatic.
Okay.
To the skeptics are closely related to consumeristic rationality, in which the quality of life, the trustworthiness of the product, and the creativity are central to the buyer's decisions and the political judgment. For instance, most fans of Kawaii products have very strict expectations. The colors, proportions, and expressions of the cute object have to be done right. This consumeristic rationality is a key to transforming consumers into citizens. Does that make sense? Okay, so I think a lot of you can relate to it. Yeah, I'll move a little faster. So also in my research, I use John Fick's studies on active audiences to study the productivity of fans. So according to Fick, he argues that consumers and fans should be understood in terms of productivity instead of passive reception. So he talks about 3 types of fan productivities. And later, other scholars, they also identify that there are different kinds of fans and different levels, but if we place them in politics, the political parallels are voters, volunteers, and the party representatives. So they don't just consume, they learn more. They join, they go to cosplay, they dress up, and they promote that this movie is awesome, you have to go watch it.
Wow.
Fan labor. And later they become representatives, in politics. So in this research, I don't just look at Kawaii, but also looking at the relationship between fan culture and the civic engagement.
Yeah.
So according to my research, I interviewed almost 100 people, mostly informally, because at that time I didn't know I was going to write a paper. But I visited and I was involved, so I went to the headquarters, I knew a lot of staff and the voters and volunteers, and I collected a lot of books and publication to see what the fans were talking about, and also their experience. And yes, they match. A lot of young people, they started with just, oh, this is so cute, I want one of them. They became volunteers, and later they became scholars or representatives. They got deeper and deeper. So they are not passive, brainless fans. So my research was trying to bridge the gap in our knowledge. Also, cuteness is political. So a nationalist supporter comments that, I don't think that creating cute items is any way to look at an election. How can the government be taken seriously when it makes everything look so childlike and cute? We think it just looks idiotic and it makes us Taiwan look laughable. It should be serious and ordered, with everything in its proper place. Well, it's very rational, but not very likable, right? But that was actually a lot of people's opinion about politics. It's not monkey business. You should be serious. You should be, more presentable. Okay, but here you can see the power and the ideology. Who decides what's presentable? Who decides it's proper politics? Who decides it's our politics? Okay, what our politics should look like? So in a highly consumer-driven democracy like Taiwan, Kawaii marks an ideological shift. Okay, from the old people culture, to the young, to rule by the young, and also the articulation of micro politics to macro politics. Okay. And also by softening the images of politics and adding consumeristic participation into the election, the Kawaii characters enable voters to begin to grip the complex political process in a transitional society. My research also discovered that most of the countries that rely heavily on Kawaii are Malaysia, Japan, Taiwan, now even China, South Korea. And did you notice that all those societies were transitional from authoritarian dictatorship to democracy? And they rely heavily on Kawaii. Here is an example. Okay. So that's the doll you have, and they got a bigger one. I couldn't afford it, so I didn't get that. And so they took the doll to the baseball game. Okay. So everyday life. The cute merchandise offered a way for the common people to acquire not only a social membership, but also a political ownership through their political consumption and effective involvement. So politics shouldn't be just scary and white terror, but also joy and everyday life, really, in everyday life. And you can see this is a wedding. So the bride is not holding a bouquet, right? She's not holding flowers. And you can see the groom seems, when it all looks so happy. Can you imagine that in here? Probably not, right? It's so awkward. What are they thinking? So here, with my analysis, I think when you look at it, you have more layers of meaning and also different lens to see the cultural phenomenon. Good. So I call Kawaii aesthetics as the aesthetic of the powerless, and also other scholars agree. So it's not just me. So the ideological power of Kawaii lies in its ability not only to mock hypocrisy and the political supremacy, but also to legitimize the feminine, emotional, and the fantasy-laden forms of political participation. In other words, the powerlessness of cuteness itself is the very source of its power. Okay. So I mentioned that China never ruled Taiwan for not even one day, but in the past, every time we have presidential election, the Chinese leader will say something like this. Okay, almost word for word. If you vote for the person who supports Taiwan independence, you may not see tomorrow. That's what he said. Zhu Rongji, the Chinese premier at that time. And they sent warcraft and to scare us every time. And what did Chinese people do? They often voted the one they support anyway. So now they use different strategies. But here you can see that in the rally, the 1 million people rally that I was talking about, humans.
Okay.
So they didn't use anything that was serious and godlike. They actually used a cute mascot. So this study exemplified the significance of the minor aesthetic categories in our study of media history and culture. As Hsin-Yen Yang, she's a philosopher at Stanford University. She suggests that the minor aesthetics such as cute, zany, glamorous, and whimsical are closely related to human emotions and social relations. So cuteness symbolizes human needs for care and intimacy. And oftentimes, I will argue, cuteness represents a response to oppression and inequality. So minor aesthetics give voice to the powerless, silenced, and marginalized groups, and therefore they deserve the same level of serious attention that academics have given to the grand, the beautiful, and the sublime. Okay, so that's the conclusion of my paper. Okay, thank you. Okay, so any questions or comments or reflection?
Good.
It's hard to see something like that going over well in this country.
I'm sorry?
It's hard to see something like that going over well in this country.
I know, yeah, it's a really different. The reason, thank you for mentioning that, because that's the elephant in the room. And the reason why I wrote this article, started to work on this article, because I talk about this in the graduate seminar when I was a graduate student at the University of Iowa. And my professor made a comment. She says, this will never happen in the United States. Now, how so? That was just yeah, I kind of agree, but how so? So that was the beginning of my research.
Yeah, so actually to build on that, so cuteness is associated with childhood, which is associated with the childhood of the race, right? So primitive, less negative, right? So historically Americans have thought of others as primitive and less than and more childlike. And so maybe that's part of the answer there, is that this aesthetic of childhood that is appreciated in other places in the U.S. is associated with the childhood of the race.
I think that's part of it. I agree. Yeah. And I think that's definitely part of the picture. Yes. And also here in the United States, we tend to think that political figures should be rational, strong, and usually masculine, right? So the other day I was watching Comedy Central, great source for news. But they had a very good analysis about the two parties are attacking each other, and mostly Republicans were attacking Watts. Okay, that we see the vice president for the running mate for Harris, and saying that he's not manly enough. So they were kind of talking about the evidence that they showed that he's serving the National Guard and a coach and a teacher. How many do we want him to be, right? But just in the whole discussion, I was cooking, and that's a great time to think about academic work. So I was cooking, and I listened to the show. I was like, what is that even a topic? How manly are you to become our vice president? Come on. I just thought we should rethink. Now think about the qualities we talk about during my presentation. Who doesn't want that kind of emotional connection with our representatives? That they really know what we want. Right? We're not talking about feminine or manly, but just something that's real, that's emotional, that's relatable. Please.
I was thinking every time I was like the upcoming election, like a different take on politics, especially with candidates targeting young audiences through like social media, like TikTok. And like we have candidates going on podcasts and like just talking about everyday questions that we probably can't speak about. And I feel like a lot of the questions that get asked are like repetitive, so they have a you have them on podcasts or like have a with their social media managers making content that's relatable and funny to younger audiences.
Okay, so you think that some politicians are doing a pretty good job targeting young people? Is that right? Okay, yeah. So I'm glad to hear that. So in the United States, I think the politicians are trying to reach out to the young people in different ways. Maybe not kawaii aesthetic because the cultural, political contexts are different. Okay, so here it may not work so well, but I think the meaning behind using a different kind of aesthetic to persuade people here in other countries provide some kind of lessons for us. For example, I would say really put people at the center. Right, really, really listen to them.
Yeah.
And this is my personal opinion, but did you notice that Hello Kitty doesn't have a mouth? But the Hello Kitty is very, very popular in Taiwan in the 1990s. One time, the McDonald's in Taiwan introduced 250,000 pairs of Hello Kitty and Daniel, her boyfriend, okay, a pair, and they give them out if you order certain kind of meal. 250,000 pairs were sold out in 2 hours. And then people fight against each other, and they went crazy. Are we still recording that? Oh, not. And so people were fighting that we want to get we want that one. So people said, geez, what are people thinking? This is lunatic. Okay, so a lot of scholars started to study, and they found out that Taiwanese people at that time, they were searching for their identity. Are we Chinese? Are we Japanese? Are we Americans? Oh. So what does that mean to be Taiwanese? It's new. Okay, so they are using a lot of pop cultural aesthetics to have discussions. Okay, so they are very, very passionate about Hello Kitty. And today, years later, I realized that maybe because they think Hello Kitty is listening. No mouse. Maybe. And that's why the American Democracy Project, because now political science and the communication studies are working together. So our annual theme for this whole year, we are focusing on civic listening. Because I think we need to listen to each other. We need to hear each other. Not just hear, but listen, really listen. And have a civil conversation, civic conversation with each other for the greater good.
Then,
So American Democracy Project, we also focus on not just registration and voting, which are very important, but also culture and also our interactions, interpersonal interactions. How about, are we running out of time? Oh, okay.
but
How about now?
let's see that.
Okay, so how many of you, so my recent research, a little sneak peek. Okay, so my recent research focuses on cuteness in digital world. Okay, so that includes Blue. So a few years ago, some Chinese netizens, they found out that their leader, Xi Jinping, their president Xi Jinping, resembles Winnie the Pooh. Then they found evidence. While most people, especially the democratic societies, think that it's so endearing, right? They're banned now.
Yeah.
So Winnie the Pooh is banned in China. A few years ago, yes. Then a few years ago, there was a movie about Winnie the Pooh. The movie was banned in China. So imagine why. Again, the nerdy me started to function, and I said, "Wow!" So cuteness is really like a determinant, the watershed, okay, for democracy and the authoritarian regime. If you like democracy, that's so cool. Here in the United States, people will capitalize it, right? We will create more of this. But in authoritarian regime, at that time, Xi Jinping was trying to become forever president, and now he is. Okay, they never have a re-election. He is the president. Okay, he has more power than Mao Zedong.
Fake.
So they cannot let this happen. Boom, delete. In Taiwan, because Taiwan, this is a pilot from Air Force in Taiwan. And the fans in Taiwan created this, the badge.
Okay.
So this is the Taiwanese black bear. It represents Taiwan. It's a special species just in Taiwan. So we use a cute black bear to represent Taiwan. So that fan created this black bear punching me in the pool. And this pilot wore it when he was going to defend Taiwan in the air.
Okay.
So the Ministry of Defense actually, the Secretary of Ministry of Defense actually said, let's not wear that. Don't trigger them. Let's play nice. So the Taiwanese people saying, we are not playing nice, why should we? But we are always telling people that, no, don't make it worse. But I studied this, and this was, the business was sold out.
Yes.
And they reproduced it. So now I can order them offline. But for that period of time, I couldn't find them.
Go.
So you might be interested that what's going on now? It's still everywhere. Okay, in Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Japan, South Korea, like I said, East and Southeast Asia, prevalent everywhere. But I hope you find the analysis helpful, and the next time you can maybe use this to interpret the local culture.
You good?
Thank you so much. We're just ready to close up. Thank you all so much for coming. We still have food in the back, so don't, please go grab some, take it home to your roommates, your family, and take the food. Thank you, Dr. Yang, so much for this really great talk. I hope you all enjoyed it. Also, in the union today, we are tabling for voter education 1 to 3, and we are giving out these cute tote bags. So everyone who signed into this Times Talk is on this little random wheel spinner, and one of you guys are going to win a tote bag today.
Yes.
Is that F1? Kaylee Locke, you are the winner. So we went to talk your other tote bags. There you go, Queen. But if you guys want one, we'll be handing them out in the union 1 to 3. We'll also be giving out important voter information. So if you have any questions, come see us. And we can't wait to see you at our future events where you also might have a chance to win a tote bag later too. So thank you all, and hopefully you have a great day and continue this great conversation.
Thank you.